I was going on about how I have bad news.
Yeah.
And just real quickly, I obviously, if you've seen the show or you've seen me, you know I support solar. I support all sorts of sustainable energy. It's one thing that all of us here are super into because it's part of the whole picture. It's not just getting battery electric cars because they're cool. It's about a number of transitions to do things that are more sustainable for us. So we had reported a few years ago about solar roadway tests, and I like to do follow-ups. And as it happened in the last couple of weeks, there have been some follow-ups on some of those projects. And I want to talk about that because here's the spoiler, folks. They all sucked. Solar roadway is not a good idea, apparently. And that's not a bad thing. You try things to see if they work. You don't deploy them over all of your roads because you're sure it's going to work. You try it out. And in every case, each one of these tests, the one in France, why did we testing this in Idaho? Who thought that was a good idea?
That's probably where the company was based.
It's where the company was based. Yeah, absolutely. In Sandy Point. And I get that, but still, that's a dumb place to do that. None of these installations produced what they were going to produce. And in fact, the losses or parasitic power, for instance, like in LED lighting or things like that they had added, turned out to be sucking more power than originally was anticipated. So, the whole idea of solar roadway, maybe not such a cool idea. And now we know it.
So wasn't one of the tests supposed to be a roadway, but it was a sidewalk and it failed miserably as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it couldn't handle feet, let alone Mack trucks.
It wasn't so much that it wasn't. I don't think durability was the issue. In fact, I'm sorry. I'm acting like I didn't read all these stories. It wasn't durability that was the issue. In every case, it was the amount of power that it generated and the amount of power that was lost for other things, whether it was inefficiency or lighting or something like that. Okay. Certainly, like solar walkway might make some sense in some cases. But again, where you're going to deploy that, now think about this, you're going to put that in New York or San Francisco or, well, nobody walks in Los Angeles, right? But you're going to put that in a big city, big buildings, lots of shadows. Guess what solar hates?
Shadows.
Yeah. So
I get cut severely for half to a quarter on a cloudy day.
Yeah.
Let alone a rainy day or snowy.
If you don't live in a place that's sunny very often, some of these solar applications don't make sense. It's not to say that rooftop solar for your home doesn't. That's a different application.
Yeah.
But for these larger scale civic applications, as it turns out, solar's not a great solution. And that's okay. Like any technology, there are good places, there are good applications, and not as good applications. So we've learned that roadways not necessarily the best. Well, I want to show you a picture of something that I hope never happens to anybody watching this show. This is what happens when your solar panels catch on fire.
Oh.
The fire department comes out and hoses things down with water and then foam. Mm-hmm. This was a story on the Journal of Light Construction. And it was an interesting story because it was written from the homeowner's perspective. This happened in Providence, Rhode Island. There's the damage. And I have to admit, wow, I had no idea solar panels would burn. Now,
was the panels burned or the
inverter
roof burned?
Such a very good question, Mr. Guzik. It's like you understand electricity. It doesn't, the article, the person writing in the article, it was fairly recent, wrote it fairly recently after this happened and didn't have answers on that. But doing some research on this, apparently it's not uncommon for squirrels to go up there and chew on insulation and on inverter cases, and a short becomes
Does the squirrel start the fire? Does the squirrel go up in flames and then...
Well, we don't know.
It's like that cat in National Vacation.
Yeah.
Crawled under the tree and chewed on the wires till it became toasted.
Oh,
Toasty cat.
crispy critter. Ouch. I don't know. I don't know. They don't know exactly what happened, but it looks like, if you look at this, well, here, let me show you this picture again. If you look at this picture and not my gaping maw, it looks sort of like that's right. That might be an inverter there.
Mm-hmm.
And that would, looks like sort of where this started somewhere. Maybe somebody was chewing on some insulation. Maybe something just happened. We don't really know. This is one case. And by no means am I saying you should be frightened of solar or anything like that. That's not the message here. The message here is shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily,
solar industry could use cayenne pepper flavor insulation to prevent this.
there we go. Right. And well, there are also mechanical barriers that can be installed, screening and stuff made specifically for this to keep animals out from underneath the solar arrays. Again, the point in this isn't to make anybody scared of solar. It's to say this stuff happens and you need to know about it and you need to kind of be aware of it. Now, there's a little coda to this. Guess who installed the solar array? Yeah, those guys. Yeah, it was a Tesla set. So, again, there's no evidence, and I'm not alleging that this was something that Tesla screwed up. This array had been on the roof for a while, I think a couple of years before this happened. And obviously there are thousands and thousands of people with solar arrays on their roofs not spontaneously combusting. Now, the reason I bring up Tesla is with this is not just to slander them. I mean, that's partially it, but Tesla's customer service is not exactly their strong point. And this homeowner had a hell of a time getting Tesla's attention and getting Tesla's help in dealing with this situation. And there's no excuse for that. None. If Tesla is a reputable company, they need to, even if they're going to say, hey, you know what? It's not our fault. There's nothing we can do. Here's how much your repair will cost, right? But to not communicate with customers, as we hear about all too frequently with Tesla, it's inexcusable.
Right, but what's going to happen is the homeowner's insurance company is going to call Tesla's legal department and say,
Yep.
you guys got to fix this or the shit's going to hit the fan.
Or they'll just fix it and then send it to the subrogation department, who will call Tesla and go, here's the bill.
Yeah.
And that's the way that works.
Which is a good point to remind everyone that after you do get retrofit solar like this, call your home insurance company and let them know you've got solar panels. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly not a bad, you want to make sure you're covered, right? You don't want to just go, oh, they'll take care of it.
Because they'll use any loophole to weasel out of paying you a premium or a settlement.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, their whole thing is to minimize their own risk. So.
Yep.
Continuing on our solar doom theme, there were two things, one last week and one this week. Last week, SunPower announced that they lost money in quarter one. SunPower is now one of the leaders since Tesla has kind of walked away from the biz. And we'll get to that in a minute. They're down literally 25% from where they were. Why? I don't know. That's a really good question. There's a lot of stuff in here, but there's not a lot of whys. To say that, like car sales, solar sales are down in general is absolutely true, but not necessarily to this extent.
Yeah.
A lot of it is the expense that these companies spend in acquiring a customer is significant. And when I say significant, I mean anywhere between $1,500 and $5,000 or $6,000 to get a customer to sign the contract and pay you. Okay. Now they don't give that money. That's what it costs them in advertising and all of that. Multiply or divided by the number of people who actually sign contracts.
Yep.
You got to pay commissions and site inspectors and all of this other stuff. It's not cheap.
Maybe if they close all their stores and fire all their salespeople, they might have a profit.
They might just have a really, really tiny section of the market, right?
Right. No, it was a dig at Tesla Solutions.
I know. No. Well, speaking of Tesla, Tesla went into what I like to think of as a going on a business sale in home solar. this week. They've announced that they're marking down their solar panels. That they're now, like everything else, you buy it on the phone.
Mhm.
You don't go into a store, you buy your solar pack on the phone. Casey has some experience with this, and I actually haven't dug into the system this much yet, Casey, but you were saying it comes in like pre-packed modules?
Yeah, you can get 1 to 4 packs, and the packs are, I think, 4 kilowatt each, and so you can have up to 12. And if you elect to get Powerwall, you can get 1 Powerwall per pack, so you can have up to 4, which is good. For just a nice general solution. Obviously, you can have up to 10 Powerwalls on a system, but this allows them to hit a wider cross section of America, and very cheaply. So what you'll do is you'll send pictures of your situation to them, and if it looks too difficult, they'll just say, "Here's your $99 back." I'm guessing they'll go for the harder stuff later as they ramp this stuff up, as they claim they're going to do. But obviously, you still get a real site survey, and a real electrician comes in to verify that what you showed them is accurate before they start drilling and hammering on your house.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And the pricing on this is phenomenal. It's like $1 a watt, maybe $1.25. But we compared it against the local installers here in my town, and they were half, 50%. It was incredible.
Yeah, and
you can automate a lot of it with like Google Earth.
Yeah, and that was the other thing they mentioned, is that they actually do check your roof out with satellites rather than sending the guy with the drone. And
right.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a step in the Tesla solar sales process back in the day, but it's an initial step, and you have to be on site for a lot of this stuff. That's the difficulty, especially as you say, retrofitting, right? Where every roof is different. You've got to get up in the attic.
Yeah.
And look around and see what's underneath. It's not.
Especially if it's an old house and a crappy roof. That's
yes. Oh, that was the other thing, is if you needed a new roof, they weren't even going to talk to you.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
a tile product that kills 2 birds with 1 stone.
The tile is supposedly hundreds of sales, but when you look into it, it's really hundreds of people in line, and they say this is the year. We'll see.
It's not going to happen. It's a scam. I'm sorry.
Well, they've got 10 of them. So, I mean, now it's just a matter of
like 4 of them that anyone's seen.
Okay, I'll give you that. 4 that we've seen. And since those work, now it's just a matter of
allegedly
getting them to install in less than 3 days or a week or whatever they're down to now, and also getting them produced at scale.
Obviously, there's many hurdles in front of this.
Yeah,
yes. It's beautiful. I want one too.
They look great in the info commercial, but man, it's there is something seriously wrong with it at several junctures in order for it to be this far behind, and for it not to be shipping, because obviously they bought the plant in Buffalo to do this.
Well, Solar City did, and then they bought Solar City.
They wanted it to be produced, and obviously there's something wrong with it that they can't produce it at this time.
When Elon sold it to people, the product didn't exist. You get away with it a few times. Yay, I can make the car. Yay. We'll fix it on the, we'll iterate a better version of the car, and everybody goes, okay, yay. But Solar Roof is a perfect example of screwing the pooch publicly and not having a way to kind of get around and go, oh, this kind of works. It doesn't.
They should have said, here's this thing, and we have it on 100 roofs, and we've made 8,000 megawatt hours. You can buy it tomorrow, and we'll ship it in 3 years. But the demo they showed us was on the houses from, was it Universal or Disney, and they weren't even plugged in.
The Housewives lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the Housewives lot.
They were built on Wisteria Lane.
Yeah, it's just,
and they weren't plugged in.
In a real house.
Yeah.
So
the windows were painted out.
Where I'm going with this, and I'm gonna sum this up really quick because we're running out of time. But sadly, the solar business has done more damage to itself than any outside force could do. Small companies, big companies, Tesla, SunPower, Sunrun, you name it. They've all really, really just damage themselves by making claims and saying that their products are going to do things that they don't actually do. And that sucks because solar is a great product and we need it, desperately need it. And yet we can't get companies to just make a decent product, sell it, make enough money to stay in business. Interestingly enough, on the house in Rhode Island that burned, right?
Yeah.
That was a leased solar city system.
Oh,
And one of the attorneys or something that came in there had commented that probably really was a good thing for the homeowner in this case.
yes.
Because it's not his property.
Not his stuff, yeah. And yet somebody else's property damaged his.
Yeah.
Don't know what in the contract, how you sign away your rights or not, but we need a good solar business. And sadly, we don't really have a lot of that right now. And again, I don't say that to scare anybody away. If you can get a good deal on a solar system and it seems like a reliable company, do it because it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
In San Diego here, your power bill in the warmer months can be $600 or more.
There's some cool stuff. It started in Colorado. I think it's available in other states. Over here, we have a thing called roofless solar, where a solar company builds a solar farm somewhere where there's cheap land and good light and all that. And then you buy the panels in the farm, and I own 11 panels, and I live in an apartment building, so I can't put them on my roof. But all the kilowatt hours that my panels generate come off my utility bill. So my utility bill has been averaging $5 to $10 a month. And I own the panels, and if I move, as long as I stay within the county, I can just assign my credits to my new meter. So that's really cool, because for people who don't own their roof or have trees or an old roof that needs to be fixed first.
Or rent.
Renters can do it, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great system.
It's a great, and they get the economies of scale by putting them in a field and aiming them the right way, and they have people go out and clean them and tune them up and whatever they got to do. So check out rooflesssolar.com. Maybe it's in a state where you live, and it's a good alternative to putting them on your own rooftop.
Yep. And another one of those is Arcadia Power. They have a similar package, and they work with a great swath of utilities. In fact, they inject 50% of my non-solar power as wind usage for free.
Cool.
Nice.